We could.
It won't, 5 minutes at the most.
From horsepower gains to custom enhancement, we deliver results. Late model racecraft. We talking or we racing?
Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's getting hot here in Houston. It is May 7th already. God, this year's flying by. But I can tell from the temperature, we're already in the 90s, like 93 degrees here today. It feels like 103, absolutely horrible. But behind me, another Ford. I know what you're thinking, guys. I'm the GM guy and we do a lot of GMs and now a lot of the Ram TRXs and Hellcats and stuff, but we're doing a lot more Fords, and I hate to admit it, every time I do one, I love it. So we're doing a lot of 5.0s lately with Whipples on them. We just did one with a twin turbo. We have a GT350 right now. We're getting ready to put a blower on, and we've done several of these GT500s here lately. And the one standing behind me is the 2021 customer is in Texas. He does want to run it on E85. So he can run E85 all the time. Now this is, again, a customer that I will say won't be driven once a month to a car show. He's gonna hop in it and use it like I'm going to when I go test the vehicle. He'll probably do it on a daily basis. So we had to make sure that this package is not only makes the horsepower he wanted, but it needs to be reliable as well. So when it comes to what we did to it, obviously from the outside, he wanted to look like your average GT500. Someone pulls up next to him, really doesn't know anything's done to it, right? All we added was, as always, the Toyo 888s on the back just to help for traction. These don't make crazy torque numbers like the pushrod GMs do, but it is a high revving engine, goes about 8,000 RPMs, but does make enough horsepower and torque to spin the hell out of even those tires in first and second gear. So again, his goal was to try to shoot for 900 or 1,000 rear wheel horsepower reliably. So what we did, starting off from the supercharger, we pulled the supercharger off. My boy Greg does a complete port on the supercharger. We obviously installed the larger throttle body to go with it. As always, JLT cold air is the starting point on these things. American Racing, we do the long tube headers with high flow cats, obviously for efficiency. In his case, he just wanted the sound. He wanted it to be louder than stock. And then when it comes to fueling, because it's on E85 and because of the horsepower he wanted, we kept, the factory has 2 pumps in the tank. We kept that alone and we added a booster pump to it. So what that does, guys, the fuel pumps run as they normally would stock. Once it sees boost, it gives it more voltage to those 2 pumps to help bump up the pressure and the voltage as much as needed at this horsepower level. So with that being said, we also did ID 1300 injectors in it for fuel. And when it comes to, I'll call it the blower speed of this supercharger, we don't have the blower speed that much, meaning we're not spinning it that hard. The supercharger pulley y'all can see on the front, it looks small physically looking at it, but I can tell you we've ran a lot smaller. And the reason why we went with this blower speed here is because we kept the factory fuel pumps intact with the booster pump on it. So this setup right here, guys, I finished on the dyno at 974 rear wheel horsepower. So again, we were very close again. He wanted somewhere between 950 and 1,000. We got damn near there. He really wanted 4 digits, but I told him I can do it for a dyno number, but as much as he's gonna race it and beat on it, there's no point in me adding 2 degrees of timing in it to make 1,000 just to pull him back out and go on the street and do what we're gonna do with it, right? So it is nice and safe the way it sits right now. And if he wants more in the future, which I know he will, he'll be back probably in 3 months, mark my words. That's when we'll come back, we'll get rid of the factory 2 pumps in the tank, we'll do 3 pumps. We do a 4 fuel system, and then we take the supercharger pulley here, and we turn the boost way up. The last one that we did, I'll just say roughly was probably 4 or 5 pounds of boost more than this one, and it made, I think, 1075, almost 1,100 rear wheel horsepower. So I'd be pretty confident in telling this customer 3 months from now, 6 months from now, he wants more, we can make 1050 to 1100 rear wheel horsepower conservatively. That's reliable. And we also talked about also upgrading the clutch in this thing. This thing still has a factory clutch in it with the DCT. It's holding at 975. It'll hold at, believe it or not, 1050, which is crazy compared to some of the GM stuff that we're doing. But in his case, because he has a heavy foot, we're gonna come back and do the fuel pump, turn the boost up, and then install a clutch at that time. But again, all in all, it's a pretty basic package. Again, when it comes to dollar per horsepower, guys, it still has a factory supercharger on it. It still looks like a stock GT500 until you drive it. Obviously, the headers kind of give away that it's been modded because of how loud it is with the headers on it. But besides that, it still drives like a stock GT500, just with a little bit louder and now a little bit blower noise, a little bit more whine with the supercharger being ported and spinning a little bit harder. But enough talking. I'm gonna hop in it and go rip it, get some data logs to make sure everything looks nice and safe before he comes to pick it up. Because like I said, this isn't gonna be a car show vehicle. It is gonna go 0 to 150, maybe even 200 off-road as many times as he possibly can, I promise. So I'm gonna hop in it now and go have some fun. This one right here, I can tell you right now, she flies. The horsepower and the graph on the dyno, it looked beautiful to 8,000 RPMs. So right now I'm gonna probably shift it at 7,500, maybe 76, somewhere in that range, just to make sure everything looks good. And if we have time, like I said, maybe I'll try to shift it a little bit higher and go from a higher gear. But I wanna try second gear just so I can see the 2-3 shift and the 3-4 shift. And if I can get a draggy time out of it, great. But mainly I just want to get data for myself to make sure that it's nice and safe for the customer. Because this customer, he is in Texas, and I do know him, and he's going to use this car. This thing isn't going to just sit in the garage and once a month go to a car show. What I'm about to do, I think he's going to do every time he's in it, which will be daily. So I need to make sure this thing is safe and reliable as possible for this guy. It felt good once it hooked up and went. Jeez, third gear and manually shift it and see what we can do. It's gonna bog, won't be in the right RPM, but let's see what happens.
30. Quarter mile. We have an entire park. It's empty out here today.
Yeah.
Find somewhere that's not in my driveway.
Okay.
Just do it like on the side?
5 minutes.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, I get it if traffic was coming, but there's no one here. Didn't you just say that? It's an empty park.